This video is brought to you by True Tales of Buried Treasure, the largest collection of old treasure magazines in the West. On our website, you can search for individual treasure stories by region, or buy our original magazines themselves. To pay us a visit, please click on the link in the description. Enjoy. Each year, since the death of the famed bandit Pancho Villa in 1923, there has been a persistent search for the alleged treasures and hidden contraband he supposedly left behind. Villa, a legendary raider and brigand, was known for storing away what he stole. Although not much of Villa's fortune has been found, and no one has admitted to discovering his great wealth, it is believed to exist in caves and hiding places from the Texas border to the mountains of Durango. Villa amassed millions from his highly successful robberies, especially bank heists, and the Mexican government even paid him off to prevent him from causing havoc. Much of what is known about Villa has been exaggerated over the years, creating a legend that modern treasure seekers often find more fictional than real. However, history books confirm that he did exist and did acquire vast sums of money, jewels, and other valuables. After his death, the search for his hidden treasures began in earnest. Villa's real name was Doroteo Arango, but he adopted the name Pancho Villa after his early thievery embarrassed his family. Born in 1877 near the Texas border, Villa was familiar with American ways, though he despised many gringos. His hatred for white people was second only to his disdain for the Chinese, exemplified by his massacre of 200 Chinese in Torreon after a dispute in a Chinese cafe. Villa provoked the peaceful Chinese into a fight to access their hidden wealth, as they did not trust banks. As a teenager, Villa organized his first gang, teaching young Mexicans how to steal from vendors and break into shops, then selling the stolen goods across the American border. He sold trinkets and valuable items to travelers and tourists, often at railroad stations. Despite General Pershing's efforts to capture him, Villa remained elusive, although the Mexican government maintained close contact with him. Feared and hated by officials and the countryside alike, Villa commanded respect through fear. Nearly every peasant would shout, "Viva Villa," as he passed to avoid becoming a target for his wrath. In 1920, at the age of 43, Pancho Villa was arguably the wealthiest man in all of Mexico. He had hidden numerous fortunes, typically burying them in heavy boxes or reinforced iron trunks, sealed within airtight containers. Despite this wealth, Villa didn't need the loot because the government had established a generous pension for him, providing more money than he could spend, along with a bodyguard of 40 to 50 men and a vast ranch. In return, Villa promised to cease his banditry and stop ravaging the countryside. He tried to keep his word, finding interest in farming his large and prosperous ranch at Canutillo. He even created a village on his property to house his guards and their families. Gradually, Villa became a landlord, buying hotels and even opening a bank. However, Villa's enemies, those who had suffered from his ruthless raids, deemed him too dangerous to trust. In the state of Durango, some legislators quietly posted a $10,000 reward for proof of Villa's death. This Kill Villa fund attracted many adventurers with the promise of heroism and no repercussions for taking Villa's life. Word of the plot reached Villa, and he tightened his security. However, a loophole emerged on July 20th, 1923, when Villa was driving along a private road to his ranch and had to slow down for a curve. Despite his 4 bodyguards being on high alert, an assassin named Jesus Salas Barraza and his men ambushed Villa in a hail of bullets. Villa's death marked the end of an era of terror, but left many questions about his hidden wealth. Salas served only a few months in jail and received a rich reward, and President Álvaro Obregón, then head of Mexico, was blamed for Villa's assassination. Oddly, Villa's riches have never surfaced. Even Villa's legal spouse, Mrs. Luz Corral de Villa, who was 78 years old in 1972, spent her lifetime paying off $80,000 in debts left by the bandit general. She turned the Villa mansion in Parral, Mexico, into a museum to raise money for these debts. Over 200,000 visitors have come to the mansion, some serious fortune hunters hoping to find clues about Villa's hidden wealth in the artifacts, documents, and displays. However, no one has reported finding any clues, and Mrs. de Villa claimed to know nothing of any fortune. She asserted that her husband spent a lot on the poor, giving away vast sums of money between 1910 and 1920. It is believed that most of Pancho Villa's treasure quietly slipped into the hands of his trusted lieutenants, who retrieved the loot from hiding places after Villa's assassination. They either reburied it or spent it slowly to avoid attracting attention and suspicion. One plausible story suggests that Villa had a retreat near Mazatlan and used a cavern at the headwaters of the Rio Presidio River, near the confluence of the Presidio and Verde rivers, close to the town of Tepuxtla. This area is rugged and dangerous, inhabited by many poisonous rattlesnakes and scorpions. It is not advisable for a lone man to venture into the hills behind the town in search of wealth without proper preparation. Essential items include a couple of sturdy burros, an excellent guide, plenty of boiled water, and a good snakebite kit. Pancho Villa didn't merely steal money and jewels, he melted them down to prevent recognition and claims by rightful owners. He often molded metals such as gold and silver into bars, using them to pay his henchmen, reducing their chances of stealing from him. Villa kept a meticulous record of his melted and stacked wealth, but the whereabouts and condition of these records remain unknown. If left in a cavern, they would have quickly succumbed to mold and deterioration. Unfortunately, Villa left no maps, keeping the locations of his treasures in his head. When he was shot, a vast fortune was likely lost, perhaps forever. Modern prospectors, equipped with sophisticated electronic equipment, are retracing the well-worn trails used by Pancho Villa and his henchmen at the turn of the century. They focus on places that were frequent night stops, knowing these offered opportunities to bury wealth unseen. Researchers are also poring over diaries and news accounts of Villa and his gang, analyzing past lootings to deduce what they might have done with paper money, coins, and jewels. Even unexplained excursions by Villa and his men are carefully scrutinized, as smart treasure seekers understand that such trips to nowhere often proved productive. The Pancho Villa treasure is bound to be discovered someday. Whether it turns up in the Sierra Madre wilderness or along the US-Mexican border is anyone's guess, but someone is likely to make that find, and likely soon. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to read the original article or purchase the magazine from which it was taken, please check out our website, truetalesofburiedtreasure.com.